Hi there and welcome back to the Rusty Lathe project. So since we were last here, I've had some perspex kicking about for quite some time now, and it just nicely lends itself to covering this picture up so that if any coolants or any little bits of chippings come off the chuck or the milling machine while they're in operation, then if they fly up onto this picture it won't damage the picture, it will just hit this perspex sheet, and any coolants that might hit this will just drip down because this sheet just nicely fits inside the drip tray at the bottom. So anything hitting that will drip down and be retained inside here, any chippings or coolants. It goes from this point here right up to the edge of the picture just there, and right up to the top of the picture frame. So that just nicely protects that, and as I say, it's easily cleanable. It's been kicking about for a while, wondering what to do with it, and I thought, brilliant, it can go there and do that. So the intention for me that I'm working on at the moment, I'm just going to clean these lathe surfaces off with a cloth, just get the last of the oils off that I've put on there, and I've gone ahead and purchased this spirit level. It's only quite a simple spirit level in that it's only got the two marks on it for the bubble to sit between. Some of the more expensive ones have got several marks either side of where the bubble would be in the middle, but of course you've got to go with the expenditure that you want to go with. So it's quite a reasonable machine in that it's got this bezel that protects the bubble when it's not in use. It's got two bubbles on it, two levels on it, and I know for a fact that this lathe is quite some distance out of level in both directions. The lathe needs to come up at this end, and it also needs to tip forward from the back as well. So this level, although it's second hand, it does have a reasonable base on it, so that's quite good. We can see some damage here, but it's not as if there's any burrs sticking down on the bottom side that would alter the actual level finding of this spirit level. So I think I'm quite happy that this will do the job for me. Yes, it's not the most accurate one in the world, and it's second hand. It's only got the two marks, as I said, but for the accuracy that a machine of this caliber is actually likely to give, then I feel that this is quite adequate for this machine. So I'm going to pop that on there in that sense, like that, to get the machine leveled up that way, and I'm also going to put it across the slideways like that to bring the machine over this way. I'll just bring you across now with the camera so you can have a look and see how far it currently is out, and then we'll bring you back when I've leveled it and we'll see where we're at then with it. What I'm also going to do at this point, the lathe is just kind of abandoned in the middle of this tray, so what I'm going to do is push the lathe back to the position where I actually want it to be within this tray. The reason why it's still in pieces, the tail stock is missing and the cross slide is missing, etc., that will keep the lathe weight down whilst I manage to level it up using these hand holders here, that I can actually lift it up, sight it onto a packer, and then lower it back down again. So come across and have a look, see how far the bubbles are just at the moment. As you can probably hear, it's a windy day and we can hear things rattling about on top of the garage roof. But here we are at the lathe again, and this is the current accuracy of the lathe as it's standing at the moment in its lengthways position. So as we can see, it's quite some distance out and needs bringing up until the bubble is central of those marks. And across wise, if we turn it across the bedways, again we can see that the bubble is considerably far out, and so it needs raising at the back to bring the bubble into the middle. As I said, some of the more expensive bubbles, or spirit levels should I say, would have several of these marker lines across and be a lot more accurate than this. But for the accuracy the machine is likely to give us, then I feel this will be quite adequate. Here you can see that the perspex sheet is sat inside the drip tray at the back there. Certainly very windy today. So I'll have a go at that and we'll see you shortly. Okay, cheers. So then, after a considerable amount of messing about and quite a bit of time, I've got this lathe levelled up in both that plane and that plane. So it's quite acceptable for what I'm doing with it, and it's just held on shims. So come across and have a look and see how level we got it with this spirit level. Although equally you could probably get away with quite a cheap spirit level, because a bubble is a bubble, and if your level is set level, then as long as you observe the bubble in the middle of the marks, then that's it. But these levels will give you more accuracy if you need it, but these are quite suitable if you don't want to run to the expense or you can't borrow one of these. But as I say, for what we're doing in this workshop, one of those properly set up would have been good enough. But I thought I'd get this one and see how I went on with it. Come across and have a look. So hopefully now you can see the bubble in between the two lines, and it's fairly accurately set between the two, and likewise is this bubble. So in real terms there's nothing really to choose between them, and if you turn the level round you should end up with the bubble in the same place again. If the level was out, or the machine was out of level, the bubble would be across there like that. But if it's between the two lines and equally spaced between the two, then that would indicate that the machine is correctly leveled. And we've levelled it in both planes. Let's have a closer look and a look how I actually levelled this machine. So we can see that that bubble is quite level across the lathe bed, and if we turn the bubble round, we can see that it's equally quite the same there. So I'm happy with the levelling, and the way it's been levelled is on various shims, just shims of brass on the corners. The gap under the middle of the lathe bed varies and touches in places, like here it's actually touching the tray that it's sat in. Some of the shims were as thin as this, It's very, very thin, pliable brass. And the way I levelled it was with a screwdriver, a piece of wood, and using the carrying handles. I brought the handles out, positioned the piece of wood, and then with the screwdriver and the slopey edge of the screwdriver retaining itself so it can't slide back, this part here being caught on the underside of here such that it was on the slope so it couldn't slide back, and then using the wood and pressing down, we can perhaps see the lathe just lifting in the corner there on the shim. So that's how I lifted the lathe to put the shims under, and whilst I was trying to do that, the lathe itself was sliding around like this on this tray. So in order to stop it sliding around, I chocked the lathe itself against the tray with some wood at the ends, round the back, and again at the front. And that's how it was levelled, because as you can appreciate, it's quite a heavy affair. So now the lathe is actually levelled, and I'm hoping it's going to stay in place with these chocks. There's no bolting mechanism on this lathe bed that we can actually bolt it down to the worktop. It simply sits there on its own weight. So I'll see how I go on with these chocks in for now anyway. But at least the lathe's been levelled while bits and pieces were missing from it, making it lighter to move around and easier to reach over to put the packings in. So now I can turn my attention to doing these bits here. Once I make the adaptation to these two, for this one to look similar to this one in size, in physical size, then I can put it onto this screwed thread here and get the parts that are missing reassembled onto the lathe. So there we are. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.